Now it should be recording. So just can you confirm that you see that now it is recording?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great. Okay,
Yes.
great. Welcome again, and just to repeat it so that it is recorded, this webinar is recorded, and it will be added to the project website for other participants so that they can see it again and see the contents. By using your video and microphone, you will be consenting us for the recording. And if you don't want your voice or image to be recorded during the webinar, you may ask questions using the chat. The Pre-Event Pcp consortium shall use all these recordings for the purposes of the project only. And also another information, because we will be holding different webinars in different languages. So in case of discrepancies of information, only the information given in today's webinar, which is in English, shall prevail beyond all the information that is, of course, published in the websites. So just let's move. So I would like to share with you the agenda of today's webinar. I will be giving a short presentation of the project, the Pre-Event Pcp, and what is its main objectives, what we are doing also, and the history, how we came up with the Pre-Event Pcp. We'll be also moved to the next slot, which is a presentation about innovative procurement, PCP and PPIs, with more focus, of course, on the PCP, which is the object of our project. What is the goals and expectations of all what we are doing? Also, we'll be sharing with you information about the users observatory group, which is also another, let's say, group that is working with us since many years, and they are, of course, they are having an active role within the project. And also main challenges and concrete examples of these initiatives, this challenge that we are, of course, we have started some years ago and will be doing for the next 2 years. And also, of course, a last question about the RFI questionnaire that will be also introduced, which is information that from our side would like to collect from the potential technology providers and companies that may participate to our tender. So this is more or less the general agenda. Sorry, no, it's this is my contact information, and I will need to switch to another presentation. But also you will have you will see my contact information in that presentation. Okay. I hope that now you see the second presentation, just a confirmation.
Yes, Yusuf.
Great. Okay, perfect. So Pre-Event Pcp. Pre-Event Pcp stands for Procurement of Innovative Advanced Systems to Support Security in Public Transport. PCP, of course, stands for the Pre-Commercial Procurement. We will get to learn about it more in details in the next presentations. My name is Youssef Bouali from Engineering Informatica, and I'm also the project coordinator of Pre-Event Pcp. So some practical information. It is EU-funded project under this call, SU SEC 2020. And the topic, it was SUGM 02, Strategic Pre-Commercial Procurement of Innovative Advanced Systems to Support Security. As you can see, this is to the right, the distribution of our consortium. It is composed of 23, it will be soon 24 partners. And it has started last September, and it will end on August 2024. The total budget of the project is 13.3 million euros, and as I said, it is coordinated by Engineering Informatica from Italy. Among the 23 partners, the distribution is through 8 EU countries. We have half of the partners are public buyers, and of which 10 are transport operators and 2 LEAs. So as you can see, it is very end user targeted, and all what we are doing is the result of real needs that we have collected all together with the end users, and the final solutions they are targeting the end users. So the goal of the project is, which means that the global aim of Pre-Event Pcp is to augment the security in public transport through innovative procurement of technology solutions. So, and we will get to know exactly why we are going through this specific procurement instrument. And so the aim is to deliver and equip the public transport operators with solutions enhancing security, situational awareness through timely automatic detection of potential dangerous unattended items in public transport infrastructures, and also in the areas, in the public areas in the nearby. The identification and of course tracking of identification and tracking of the perpetrators. So here we're not also we don't want to stop only on identifying unattended items. We would like also to identify who left, or either unintentionally or intentionally the item, and also we need also advanced crisis management system in order to manage all this situation. Manage means that the identification, the tracking, and also all the other processes that starts when there is some traits that arise, security traits that arise from that event. As I said, we didn't start last September. This is a second, let's say, a prosecution project. It is the result of a previous project that was called Prevent without the PCP. And it is also an EU-funded project that we have started on May 2019. And it is under the same topic, but at the beginning we have decided to analyze the domain. And as you said, during its implementation, needs assessment, definition of common challenges, and a thorough market analysis were carried out. These actions formed the basis for the PCP strategic decision making, which is at the beginning we have gathered the operators in order to analyze the domain and check which are the major security threats that are there in their day-to-day activities. Of course we have analyzed many. And from that set of a lot of security threats, we try to give them priorities, we analyze them in details, and also we voted them all together in order to give them priority. And we started from a large number. We went until we have decided the 12 security scenarios. After that, we went further to 8 to 6. And at the end of that project, we have ended up with one common challenge, which is agreed by all the operators in Europe. So this is a common challenge, and it has been voted 100% by all these operators, and not only the ones from the consortium, but also other operators that joined us through the user observatory group, and also they have voted for this security problem. We call it common challenge. So our approach here is that Prevent Pcp is based on the results, common challenges, and synergies resulting from Prevent CSS. CSA stands for Coordination and Support Action. And so I just said that it is based on the results of that project. Pre-Event Pcp is a demand-side effort enabling the public buyers to engage with innovative businesses to develop and deliver novel solutions. As it is clearly for you, and that we have started from the demand, and in order to analyze which are the problems, but also with this we analyze the market in order to see if there were some existing solutions. And the main outcomes that we came up is that we couldn't find commercial off-the-shelf solution that already exists in the market. Here we're talking about meeting the specific needs of the security problems. So, and from that, let's say, analysis, we decided to go for this pre-commercial procurement. So it also involves a risk-benefit sharing under market conditions, IPR ownership rights of the R&D in exchange of lower development prices. So here the demand side put on available, also thanks to the funding of the European Commission, 9 million for the technology providers in order to develop solutions. So it's these companies, they will get paid for their development efforts in order to bring solutions to a market readiness. The procurement of R&D services organized in a competitive phases, clear separation between the procurement of R&D services from the development of commercial volumes of end products. Maybe it's more technical, and you will see it in the next presentation. But the main, let's say, point here is that here we are developing and asking for research and development activities. So it's not let's say it's not a normal procurement process, which is a next phase. So here we're asking to the market to do for us some research and development and to bring their technologies, their solutions to a market readiness level. So we are not buying the solutions. And the last point, which is Pre-Event Pcp, ensures the involvement of all the relevant stakeholders through the user observatory group. Here, because not only we have the partners of the project, but also the user observatory group, which is still open, and we are hiring other transport operators, public transport operators, but also other stakeholders like law enforcement agencies that in some countries they are also involved with the public transport operators in this security activity, but any other stakeholders also that may have a word in our activity will be more than welcome. Actors in our project, as you can see, we have different actors, and each one is playing a specific role within the project. The public buyers, they are the ones that are, let's say, responsible and also put in the co-investment in for the procurement, for the tender. So they are they have also the, let's say, the quality to act as a public buyer and to procure solutions for their organizations or for other organizations that they may depend on. The lead procurer, here we have Kemea, who has, because the tender is not divided by under different public buyers, but all these buyers, they have agreed and they have signed an agreement to give the mandate to one buyer to launch the tender. We have also within the project the legal advisors that provide, they are lawyers that provide their expertise, and also especially in terms of the privacy, data protection, GDPR. So, and as you can imagine, in our project, it is highly impacted on these aspects. We have the practitioners community, and as I said, some of them, they are also public buyers, but here we're talking about the transport operators that provide input for the technical requirements, but also all other requirements that will be put on the tender, and also they will be using the prototypes, testing them during the pilots process, and also they will be evaluating the solutions. We have also law enforcement within the project that also are full members, and some of them, they are parts of the UOG. And of course, as you know, law enforcement, they are heavily involved in the security of the protection of public spaces as the one of the transport operators. We have also technical advisors, that they are technical companies that provide their expertise in all the processes of the PCP, of the requirements, of the technology development, and also of the testing validation. We have social advisors in order also to evaluate which are the social impacts and acceptance of our solutions in the market by citizens, of course. And contractors are they are not part of the consortium. Typically speaking, we're talking about many of you that are participating to this event, which will be involved later on, and they will propose their solutions, and in order to be accepted, evaluated, and brought to the market readiness. So these are the different actors. How let's say the project phases are organized. We are still in the preparatory phase, because we are finalizing the collection of the requirements. We have already done the update of the state-of-the-art, let's say, analysis. The business case is under construction, where this event is part of the open market consultation. We'll be defining the evaluation criteria and all the details that we need in order to execute the different phases. And of course, we will launch in the next month the tender documentation. We will receive the proposals, and we will move to the evaluation. So all this, we call them preparatory phase. Phase one, once we will select companies that will be invited to participate to phase one, which is the solution design. As I said, the awarded R&D providers, they will be asked to describe the solution, providing a complete architecture and design of the solution, and verifying the technical, economical, and organizational feasibility of their solutions to address the PCP challenge. Taking into the account, of course, the results of phase 0, means that all the requirements, all the constraints that we will be put on the tender need to be respected. After that, they will submit their solutions, and the consortium will evaluate them, and we will select some of them and invite them to go for the prototype development, which is phase 2. And these are qualified contractors will develop a first prototype based on the design documents delivered in the previous phase, and they will dare test, of course, solutions in the lab environment. Our minimum, let's say, target number is that we would like to have 4 prototype platforms on which we would like to base our evaluations. Next, and based on these evaluations, we will invite at least 2 of them to the final solution, to develop a final solution in order to be validated in operational environment, in, of course, different conditions, because we'll see this in another slide, using scenarios and processes developed in the verification and validation strategy. So yeah, so in phase 3, we will be testing the prototypes in different, we said, environments and also locations. We will, sorry, if you can mute your microphone. Okay, thank you. So as I said, the pilots will be having 4 pilots. The first one, it will be in France. It will be organized in the Paris-Marseille axis, and it is involving SNCF, RATP, and Région Sud. Another one, it will be in Spain, in Barcelona, and involving TMB and FGC, which are public transport operators, and also INT and MIRPN, which are law enforcement agencies. In Portugal, we will be having in Lisbon, and it is involving the Metro of Lisbon, and the fourth one, which will be in Italy, in Genoa, and it will be involving IMT and Astra. So these are the first pilots, and we have already defined them. Of course, details will be defined later on, but this is the major locations we will be validated. Yeah, and that's it. So that other information will come up in the next presentations. These are the contact details, and of course you can check our website, send emails via social accounts. And if you have any questions at this stage, I'll be happy to answer to them. Otherwise, we can move to the next slide. Okay.
I have a question, Michael Doser from Idemia speaking. What is the time frame or the planning for the publication of the tender?
Okay. I don't know if it will be included in other presentation, but I imagine that this summer we'll be able to launch the tender.
Yeah, if I may, Youssef, according to the OMC document that we have published, it's aimed in June this year. That's the idea.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
Okay. Okay, we can move to the next slot.
So if it's okay, Youssef, can I take the floor and share my
Yes.
presentation?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I will do first a technical checkup if you see everything and you hear everything, okay? Wait. Are you seeing a blue screen?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
because that was the goal. 1 second. And now are you seeing, 1 second, a presentation?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So without further ado, if it's okay, I will start. Yeah? Okay.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Yeah, so my name is Anabel Peiro. I am a legal consultant at Corvus Procurement Services, and we are partners of the Pre-Event Pre-Commercial Procurement. And as Youssef was saying in the previous presentation, what I aim to do in this session is to do a brief introduction to innovation procurement. Then I will go into details about what is pre-commercial procurement, because as also what Youssef was mentioning is that Pre-Event in the end is a pre-commercial procurement. So what we want is for everybody to be on the same page, so to say. So you have all the characteristics, so you understand what a PCP is and what we are aiming to do in the Pre-Event project. And without further ado, I will go now to the innovation procurement introduction. So innovation procurement is when the public sector purchases from the private sector, from the supply side, innovative solutions in order to address a specific mid to long-term public sector needs. So the idea here is that instead of the supply side pushing innovation into the market, we have the demand side, the public sector pulling for this innovation. And this is extremely interesting because we have the public sector capable of tailoring a solution for their own needs. They go to the market and they ask for this particular solution. As you can see in this slide, there are two main modalities, right? Pre-commercial procurement, into which I will go into details in this presentation, and public procurement of innovative solutions. So just to give you a bit of background and so that you know, the main difference is that in pre-commercial procurement, we are purchasing R&D services, right? So we are purchasing the R&D services in order to develop a solution. However, if we want to purchase commercial volumes of these solutions that we have developed in the PCP, we need to launch another procurement procedure, and that's public procurement of innovative solutions. And as I promised, now a bit about pre-commercial procurement. So in PCP, what we are doing is purchasing R&D services in order to develop a solution. And why are we doing that? Well, we are doing that because we go to the market, we assess that we have a need. And we go to the market, and the market doesn't have a solution for this need yet, and there is not a solution close to the market either. So we need to purchase R&D services in order to develop this solution. This is very linked to the technology readiness level. So again, just to give you a bit of context, this scale, the technology readiness level, was developed in the United States, in NASA. And then it was transferred to the Department of Defense in the 90s. And from there, it was transferred to Europe. And the idea behind this technology readiness level scale is that the lower the TRL, the more R&D is needed for a solution to make it to the market. And conversely, if the technology readiness level is relatively high, it means that not much R&D is going to be needed for the solution to make it to the market. And this is linked to the PCP, and we are going to see now why. So as I was saying, in PCP, we are purchasing R&D services. And one of the main characteristics of this procedure is that it's a competitive phased approach. What does this mean? Well, you can see it in this image. Normally, PCP is divided in 3 different phases, right? These 3 phases are linked to the technology readiness level that I was just mentioning. So in phase 1, the technology readiness level is very low. And what we will have is technology vendors designing a solution to address the need that the public buyer has previously identified. Then in the second phase, the best ones from the phase 1 will be invited to submit a tender. And in this phase 2, where the technology readiness level is a bit higher, so we can see that it's increasing from phase to phase, they will develop a prototype that will be tested in a lab environment. And then again, the best ones will be invited to test this prototype in a real-life environment. And as Yusuf was mentioning in the previous slide, in our particular case, it will be in 4 pilots, in France, in Italy, in Portugal, and in Spain. So now we have 2 characteristics, right? That it's a competitive phased approach. So you have already guessed it, but competitive, it's because we are not just contracting with one technology vendor. No, we are contracting with several of them. And as you can see, in phase 1, we have a higher number, and only the best ones make it until the phase 3, in which we will have a working prototype in a real-life environment. Another important characteristic of PCP, and this is also linked to the legal framework that we will see in the next slide. In PCP, we have to have a risk-benefit sharing approach. Normally, this is translated in the fact that the technology vendor will keep the intellectual property rights of the solution developed. And in exchange for this ownership and for the price that the public buyer pays, the public buyer gets a non-exclusive license to use the results of the PCP. We will see that in more details when we talk about Pre-Event Pcp in particular. And another very, very relevant characteristic that I have already hinted at, it's that in PCP, we are purchasing R&D services. However, if we want to purchase commercial volumes of the developed solution, we need to launch another procurement procedure, right? That's the public procurement for innovative solution. So there is a clear separation between the R&D phase and the commercial deployment phase. And probably you are wondering why. Well, it has to do with the legal framework of the PCP. So just so you know, pre-commercial procurement is actually exempted from the World Trade Organization General Procurement Agreement, consequently from the European Public Procurement Directives, and subsequently from the national law transposing these public procurement directives. So all in all, for all of us to be clear about it, PCP, if it complies with certain characteristics, it's exempted from the application of the European Public Procurement Directives. And these characteristics are that we are purchasing R&D services, so very clear separation from the deployment, the commercial deployment of the solution, and that the benefits of the project don't accrue exclusively to the public buyer. So risk-benefit sharing approach. And in this case, in the Pre-Event Pcp, we will see how we are going to do that. Again, this doesn't mean that we can do whatever we want under a PCP. That's not the case. PCP is always bounded by the principles of the Treaty of the Functioning of the European Union. So mainly transparency, equal treatment, non-discrimination, and proportionality. That's why, for example, in our case, we have published a prior information notice informing everyone that we are conducting an open market consultation. And that's why we are conducting this open market consultation. And that's why in a near future, we will publish our contract notice, we will publish our tendering documents. Once we have selected the best candidates, the best technology vendors, we will also publish a contract award notice. So that you see, we are aiming to be as transparent, as proportional, and as equal, treat everybody as equally as possible. And to conclude this legal framework slide, for you to know, PCP, it's true, it's not regulated in the public procurement directives and in the national laws transposing this. But the European Commission already in 2007 published a communication explaining what is PCP and how to implement it. PCP is also bounded by the framework for state aid for R&D, and it's also under the scope of the competition rules. So that's why, again, we have to be transparent, we have to treat everybody equally, and we have to be as proportional as possible. So from everything that I have already said, you probably already have guessed some of the advantages of the PCP and why are we conducting a PCP. But it never hurts to stress some important aspects. So we can see the benefits from different points of view. For the public sector, for the public buyers, PCP is an extremely useful and relevant approach because it improves the quality and the efficiency of public services, and it allows to provide these services at a lower price. So it's what it's called better value for money. Because in the end, what you are doing here is also minimizing the risk of innovation. You're finding new ways to provide for services, and you are making all the technology vendors in different phases compete against each other to offer the best solution, which means that in the end also you get better prices for this. Okay, so for the public sector, it's positive. And what about the technology vendors? What about the private side? Is it positive for them? Well, the answer is yes. And why is it positive? Because if you recall what I'm saying in PCP, we are purchasing R&D services. So the technology vendor is receiving funds to develop a solution. This, of course, it's funds to develop a solution that then they can further commercialize outside the PCP. It also shortens the time to market. So this valley of debt that normally happens between the R&D phase and the deployment phase is sort of shortened, it's sort of minimized via PCP. PCP, as you have already heard, it's already, so to say, regulated or described since 2007, right? So there are already studies demonstrating that PCP supports and facilitates the participation of smaller and medium companies as well as startups. And it is logical that it is so, because if you recall, we are saying that we are purchasing R&D services. And if we want to purchase commercial volumes, if we want to go to the deployment of the solution, we need to launch another procurement procedure. So that means that the entities participating in the R&D phase do not need to have these commercial deployment capabilities. They will need it in a later stage, which brings me to my last point in the supply side. PCP, it's also proven to stimulate company growth and attract private investment. Why? Because the companies that do well in a PCP attract the interest of other companies that might be capable of commercially deploying this solution, and also of investors that see a positive solution that already has a market for it. So it's a win-win situation from the public side and from the private side. And what about the citizens? Well, of course, every citizen is happier when you make better use of public resources. And that's what we are doing with a PCP, because we are spending money, but in a phased approach, so to say, so we can minimize the risk of innovation. If you have been involved also in innovation procurement, you have realized that innovation procurement in general tends to tackle also environmental and social challenges at the same time. So in the last few years, the trend is that public procurement is used in a strategic manner in order to foster innovation and to tackle environmental and social challenges. Extremely positive for the average citizen. And we cannot forget that due to the fact that PCP is exempted from the public procurement directives, we have a bit of flexibility in asking for certain aspects, right? So for example, we can ask for the R&D activities to take place in Europe. And what does this mean? What is it translated to? We are asking R&D services to take place in Europe, which means that we have high added value jobs created in Europe. And at the same time, we are making Europe more competitive in innovative. So all in all, PCP is a win-win situation. And as I promised, we are going to conclude with the last section in which we will go into details about the Pre-Event Pcp and how does everything that I have just explained apply to Pre-Event Pcp. So first things first, what is it about? Pre-Event Pcp aims to deliver and equip public transport operators with solutions enhancing security situational awareness. So the idea here is to protect stations, to protect the vicinity of stations, to make means of transport more secure. And how do we want to achieve this? Well, via three pillars. First, timely automatic detection of potentially dangerous unattended items in public transport infrastructure and the vicinity. So somebody who forgets, willingly or not, a luggage in a station, for example. The second pillar is the identification and tracking of perpetrators. So who has left this luggage there? And of course, we cannot manage these two first points without an advanced crisis management system. So all in all, this is the goal of Pre-Event Pcp. Also very interesting for you to know is that Pre-Event Pcp is a joint cross-border procurement. And it's one of the first ones in the field of security and transport. Why is this relevant? Well, this is relevant because, of course, this means that several entities from member states across Europe have realized that they have the same need, the same challenge, and they are working together in order to solve this challenge. They are pulling together efforts to solve this challenge. And well, of course, you can see that this is the advantage of Pre-Event. As Joseph was mentioning, Pre-Event is not the first of its kind. It was preceded by a coordinate and support action, Pre-Event CSA. And in this case support action, all the participants agreed on this common need. So this is great because you make sure that all the public buyers in the Pre-Event consortium really do have this need. This is also very beneficial for the public buyers participating because, of course, some of them have more experience in one aspect, some of them have more experience in one other, some of them know something about some technologies, and so on. This means that they are pulling together efforts which minimize the risk of failure, and they are also having together more information than one of them would have. It also fosters synergies and economies of scale because, of course, the solution to be developed should be interoperable. It should be working in the system of all of them. And it's also, as PCP, it's interesting because, of course, it's a competitive phased approach. So we are asking technology vendors to be the best they can, to offer the best they can all the time, from phase 1 to phase 2 to phase 3. So as you can see, all the advantages of a PCP are translated into Pre-Event and actually multiplied because it's a cross-border initiative. So to the preparation of the Pre-Event Pcp, just so you have a bit of background. As I was mentioned, Pre-Event was preceded by a CSA. And in both projects, so in the Pre-Event CSA and in the Pre-Event Pcp, the consortium followed the AFIP methodology. Just to give you a bit of context, the AFIP initiative is an initiative, a project from the European Commission, in particular from DG Connect. And the idea behind it is that it's to support public buyers that want to implement innovation procurement projects, whereas a PCP or a PPI. In this framework of the AFIP initiative, a methodology to prepare and to enhance the success of innovative procurement projects, a methodology was developed. And this methodology has 5 steps. Then it's identification and assessment, the prior art analysis and intellectual property rights search, the analysis of the standards landscape, and just one quick disclaimer, if you hear me speaking about the state-of-the-art analysis, I am referring to these 2 steps, the prior art analysis and the analysis of the standards landscape, just in case. Then these 3 steps are followed by the open market consultation, so the current point of the Pre-Event Pcp, and parallelly we are conducting the value calculations and the business case. So again, just to give you a bit of context about the Pre-Event CSA and the Pre-Event Pcp. During the CSA, all the partners of the consortium, and in particular the PTOs, the LEAs, and the user observatory group, they had several scenarios, and from these scenarios, they selected their more relevant, their more pressing need. So that's the common challenge that we have. In the Pre-Event Pcp, this common challenge was, again, so not evaluated, but was, again, re-agreed on. And then in the Pre-Event CSA, we also conducted a state-of-the-art analysis, right? So we assessed what was the technology readiness level of the solution. That is the state-of-the-art analysis. So you check the existing intellectual property rights. So whereas there are existing patents, designs, you check literature, you check the standards existing, and based on that, you can assess the technology readiness level of the solution. In the Pre-Event CSA, thanks to this state-of-the-art analysis, we could justify the implementation of a PCP because the technology readiness level of the solution, so the solutions already existing of the market, couldn't address all the challenges that Pre-Event Pcp, the Pre-Event Consortium, was facing. And now in this Pre-Event Pcp, what we have done is, again, update this SOTA because, of course, some time has elapsed. So we needed to make sure that indeed PCP was still justified because the technology readiness of the level of the solution was still low, and that was indeed the case. And now we are in the open market consultation, and here the objective is twofold, right? We want to, of course, inform the market that we are going to launch a PCP, that we are going to launch a tender in hopefully June this year. And then the second objective is to gather information from the market, because in the end, the market is the expert, the market knows what is there existing already. And with this information that we gather from the market, we aim to fine-tune our tendering documents and all in all, to improve our project. Parallelly, we are drafting our business case. The business case is basically a draft, a report, gathering all the costs, benefits, and the analysis of potential risks of the Pre-Event Pcp. This business case will also be fine-tuned with the information that we gather from the open market consultation. So here you have an overall picture of the states of the Pre-Event Pcp. So the state-of-the-art analysis has been conducted. We are currently in the open market consultation phase, for which we published well in advance a prior information notice to inform everybody so that everybody could participate. And now we are fine-tuning our business case and fine-tuning our tendering documents. Just so you know, as the lead procurer is Greek, the procedure will be under Greek law, just also for you to know. This slide, Yusuf mentioned it, but I will just very briefly go through it so that you have, again, an overall picture. We are in the preparatory stage, so we are conducting the open market consultation, and the idea is that we fine-tune our tendering documents with all the information that we gather, and that soon enough we publish a contract notice, we invite you all to submit your tenders, we evaluate these tenders, we select the winners, so to say, the selected candidates, and then we will publish a contract award notice. Once this has been done, the PCP will actually start with phase 1. In phase 1, at least 6 contractors will design a solution to tackle all the challenges of Pre-Event Pcp. The best ones, the ones that offer the best solutions, will be invited to submit a tender for phase 2. And in phase 2, at least 4 contractors will develop a prototype to be tested in a lab environment. Again, from these 4, the most successful ones, the best ones, will be invited to submit a tender for phase 3. And here, 2 solutions will be tested in a real-life environment. The pilots that we mentioned, so in France, in Italy, in Spain, and in Portugal. And in this next slide, you have a really quick and easy overview of the project phases, so the number of contractors per phase, the maximum budget available per contractor per phase, and the maximum budget available per phase, so all in all. And you also have the estimated duration of each of the phases, right? So a bit shorter for phase 1, longer for phase 2, and shorter for phase 3. But just so you know, this is an estimated duration. And if you recall, before I mentioned that I was going to give you a brief explanation about the intellectual property rights strategy that we have developed for Pre-Event Pcp. So again, to give you a bit of context, in public procurement, intellectual property rights might arise. But when it comes to innovation procurement, and in particular to pre-commercial procurement, we are developing a new solution. So intellectual property rights are going to arise. This is not good, not bad, it just is. So we need to have a strategy. And in the case of Pre-Event, what the consortium has decided, also to comply with the definition of PCP, it's that the technology vendor will keep the intellectual property rights of the solution they develop. This is extremely interesting because it means that once the PCP is over, and even during the PCP, they can actually further commercialize the solution that they have developed because they own the intellectual property rights. In a to be paid by the public buyers will be low because of course they are not getting the ownership of the intellectual property rights, but a non-exclusive license to use the results. The public buyer also gets the right to ask third parties under fair, reasonable, non-discriminatory conditions. So what is called front terms. And that's the intellectual property rights strategy for Pre-Event. I think it's important for you to know this. And this is really my last slide. So as I was mentioning, the OMC has a twofold goal. The first one is, of course, to inform the market about the upcoming Pre-Event Pcp, that we are going to launch a PCP and we would like everybody to participate, to submit their tenders so that we have, well, a decent amount of competition, of course. But the other objective is to gather information from the market so that we can actually improve our project. So that's why we would be extremely happy, we would extremely appreciate if you could fill in this survey that you have here if you haven't already done so. And it's a really short questionnaire with some questions for you to answer, to provide us with your knowledge. And with that, I conclude. And first of all, I thank you all so much for your attention, for your interest in the project. And of course, if you have any questions, I will be more than happy to answer now, or if you send them as well, I will answer them very happy. And that's all on my side. Thank you all.
Thank you, Annabelle.
Of course.
We can move to the question session if there are any other questions. Any questions?
Yeah, maybe Joseph also, I am going to stay here until the end of the workshop. So if questions come afterwards, I will also be happy to answer.
Okay, great. Thank you for your availability. So yeah, so we, as we said at the beginning, so if in case you have any questions for each section, we can answer to them now before moving to the next slots. Otherwise, you can keep them at the end. So it's up to you.
Yes, we have one question from the chat asking if the state-of-the-art report is publicly available.
If you go to the website of the Pre-Event Pcp, you have an OMC document, right? And in the OMC document, you have the summary of that with all the information. So you have that document. Actually, I'm going to look for it and I'm going to copy paste it in the chat, the link to the document. 1 second. But you have it. But it's a really good question. 1 second, let me find it and then I will send it to you.
Yeah, thank you, Annabelle. Yeah, so this is important that to stress the fact that the website will be very important. We just launched the first version. Maybe some updates will come up in the coming weeks, but it will be the main communication channel where all the public information will be put there. So as Annabelle said, we have already published the OMC documents, including also the market analysis, the state of the art, and all documents that will be produced from now on will be published there, including the tender documentation, the evaluation results, and all the public deliverables of the project. I see also that Annabelle shared the link to the document so that you can get it there.
Will you share these presentations?
Actually, yeah, we will double check if there are no confidential information, but I don't think so because we will also share the recording of this event. So not only the presentations, but also the recording of this event will be published so that you can also go through it and check the information. So this is the answer to Jürgen, if I pronounced well your name. So.
Maybe it's also worth mentioning that there are going to be several webinars in different languages, which is going to be so the idea is that the presentation are exactly the same. So if you want to hear it in different languages, you also have the chance to do so.
Yeah, maybe help me with the date. Yeah, tomorrow we don't have any webinar. On Wednesday we have the French.
I think, yeah, the French one. Wait, let me check. On Wednesday we have the French one. On Thursday we have the Polish webinar. On Friday we have the Portuguese webinar. Wait, I'm just checking all of them. And then one week without webinars?
Yeah, next week we will have the physical meeting in Marseille, the open market consultation in Marseille. So I don't know if some of you has already confirmed their participation to the physical meeting, which of course it would be more concrete, and we will have the chance also to meet you and talk in details about the project, about the requirements, the security scenarios also, I guess, and also we will have also the chance that the companies, they may present, they may make a speech in order to present their companies and their offerings. And also, of course, it would be also interesting for you, for your companies, that an opportunity that you meet other companies and evaluate if to make any, let's say, joint consortium, because from our point of view, we expect that not only single organizations participate in the tenders, but also consortium of organizations with different skills and technologies they would like to join together in order to propose a solution meeting our requirements. And sorry, Annabelle, and the last week of January, you already published it, in the chat.
I copied pasted in the chat, so you have all the information and you can join into which event you want. I think
so it's January 25th. It would be the Spanish webinar. The 26th it will be the Dutch, 27th the Greek, and the 28th it will be Italian webinar.
Yeah. And Yusuf, there is a question in the chat. So how can a technology vendor find a good partnership for this PCP?
Technology vendors, as I said, it would be the OMC. It would be a good opportunity to meet other companies, and we can evaluate and define new ways in order to facilitate this this activity. Means that so that if you have as part of the skills, the know-how, but you need other companies, we need to think about it yet, so that we can facilitate this activity. If I understood well the question.
Oh, I think it's correct, but I have one question that I would like to answer. In the document, we have a questionnaire with several sections and only one section in the web registration. So the web registration is to participate in the events, but if you would be so kind as to fill in the long questionnaire with different sections, that's the one that will really help us, because it's tackling all the aspects, the legal aspects, the economical aspects, the risk aspects, the existence technology. That's why we need you to fill in the document with the full questionnaire. Thank you for the question, Philip. It's a really good one. And there is one question about the agenda for Marseille, Yusuf. I'm not sure. I think it's also in the website. Wait.
Yeah, if it's not there, we will publish and also we will send it to all the companies that have registered to the event. So this is for sure. We will share it, but if it's not on the website, we will put it there.
Perfect.
Okay, I guess that it's.
Is there a template for the main OMC questionnaire? I am going to look for it and send it to you in the chat. One sec. But in the meantime, we can. I don't know if there are more questions, but I am going to look for the template. I think it's on the website, but just in case.
Okay, great. So we will. Yeah, it's better so that we can move to the next presentation. We have the slot for the goals and expectations, and if I remember very well, it's Amira, right?
Yes, Yusuf. Hi.
Okay.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Can you hear
Hello.
me very well?
Yes, yes.
Okay, I'm going to share the screen. Can you please confirm you can see it well enough?
Yes, I see
Yes,
it.
Amira.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so I'll start. So I'm Amira Nathalie, and I'm the project manager for European innovation programs for the South region of France, Région Sud, Provence-Alpes-Côte d'Azur. And so we are several project managers on this project. My colleague Guillaume Gizelou, who's monitoring the chat, is also the lead project manager for the Pre-Event project. So do not hesitate to get in touch with any of us if you have any questions on the project and on the presentation. So, I don't know what happened. Okay, so it's back. So Pre-Event Pcp is addressing a societal challenge. As mentioned previously by Yusuf, the project aims to deliver and equip PTOs with solutions, public transport operators with solutions enhancing security situation awareness. So this is securing public transport infrastructure across Europe by fighting a terrorist threat. Addressing the challenge enhance security for passengers and leads to an increased quality of service in public transport. So to address this challenge, the PCP that we have, Pre-Event Pcp, has three main objectives as listed here. Securing transport infrastructure. This means that the main objective is to improve security in transport infrastructures, whether it is train station, a metro platform, at the tramway stop, or even in an airport facility. The enhanced security for users of all these transport infrastructures is what gathered all the partners in this project. Fighting the terrorist threat implies that the Pre-Event Pcp has the ambition to become part of a European technological answer to fight terrorism. For us, supporting a European solution means that our project has to respect individual rights, such as the right to privacy. The consortium will be extremely cautious with this issue, so please note that very well, as it is a key. It is the key to general acceptation by the citizens. We want to foster the work of security operators by addressing the issue of unattended items in public transport infrastructure. Thirdly, and quite importantly, improving the quality of service in public transport. This means that we aim to minimize delays for intervention and by allowing a quicker detection of unattended luggage. Pre-Event Pcp will lead to an improved quality of service and free up time for police forces, indirectly contributing to a more secure public transport. We want to address this societal challenge by focusing on the issues of unattended and potentially dangerous items in public transport infrastructures. I don't know why every time it's switching, so I'm sorry about this. According to our perspective, solving the issue of unattended items can be done by completing three challenges, including one system. So firstly, the timely automatic detection of potentially dangerous unattended items. This implies that we expect the system to be able to timely detect when an item is left unattended. By doing so, it would allow the alert to be raised very quickly. The quicker the alert, the easier the problem can be solved, especially when we consider that the most unattended items are simply forgotten items. identification and tracking of the perpetrator. So what do we imply by this is that once we have detected the unattended items on the CCTV system, the most important element to avoid any crisis situation is to know where the owner has gone. This is why we want our system to track the owner in order to be able to reach him or her in the public transport infrastructure and its vicinity. Please note that when we use the expression identification, we do not mean that we want the system to provide the identity of the perpetrator. In this case, identification refers to the indication of whom the person is, meaning what he or she looks like, what he or she is wearing, etc. The point is not to provide a complete ID or contact details. The association between the item, unattended item and its owner. The essential added value we expect from this solution is to deliver the missing link between those previous elements, that is the association of the perpetrator, the item to the owner, sorry. Concretely, on the effective association item to owner, this may allow the solution to track the perpetrator. The added value is very consequential for us because instead of simply notifying a situation, that is implying there is an unattended item, the solution has to help security operators to solve the problem by reaching out to the person who left the unattended item. And thirdly, we have the aspect of advanced crisis management system. What this segment implies is that by featuring those previous elements into an advanced crisis management system, this solution will be of high interest because it will allow security teams to react promptly and efficiently. In order to reach these goals, the pre-commercial procurement is the best strategy according to us, as it is a way to experience several innovations simultaneously. Choosing one path to innovation instead of another is strictly up to technology providers. In order to choose any potential path, it seems more appropriate to express the expectations of Pre-Event Pcp group through a wish list instead of a purely technical requirement. So we will delve into the wish list. And sorry again. Don't know why that doesn't work properly. So going into the detail of how we want this to be put in place. So we've just described the main features and we expect to solve the case of an unattended item in a public transport infrastructure. So let's figure out the current situation together. Detecting an unattended item can take many minutes, perhaps hours in some cases, as the detection may only take place once the item is left, which means that we currently have hypothetically no chance of reaching the item's owner. The item is then treated either as a potential threat with the intervention of police forces or as a lost object. With such description, we can figure out that the first challenge is to detect the item as soon as possible. The early detection is a prerequisite in order to reach the item's owner. This is why we need a solution that would already have associated each item with an owner. Each item with the owner in a public transport infrastructure, but also in the vicinity, so around the public transport infrastructure. This already made association would then allow, as soon as the item is left unattended, to track the item's owner within the infrastructure. But once these challenges have been met, nothing may happen unless an alert is given. In other words, those innovations cannot be effective without a human decision. That means that the intervention of security operators will be essential. To do so, the solution shall provide an effective crisis management system, as listed here. So how can we address this, this whole challenge? In the end, we we contend that public entities, mainly who are the public buyers, will need the solution to be affordable. Therefore, using existing tools can reduce the solution's cost. This is why we expect the solution to be based on the pre-existing security cameras using video analytics. Replacing the existing CCTV system isn't in the scope of our project. Hence, please note that interoperability with existing systems will be key. It is also a way for the solution to reach a bigger market. Keep in mind that the solution shall be deployed across Europe, where GDPR are different, but ensure a minimum level of acceptability for citizens. Finally, the system users will be security operators or security forces. Hence, the solution has to be designed in order to meet their needs and to be adapted to the way they work. So that we will see in the next slide. In a way, an additional challenge is to design a solution acceptable to all stakeholders, infrastructure managers, public buyers, citizens, and security forces. So on this slide, we hope it's an aid for security to show how the current situation is. So let's try to imagine together what will ideally happen if a Pre-Event Pcp challenge is met. We can do this with the example of, say, Mr. X, who is operating the CCTV system in a big train station somewhere in Europe. The first thing is to understand that Mr. X or Mrs. X isn't only focused on attended items. He or she is managing as many situations as he or she can with the video surveillance system. This includes pickpockets, drunk people, unfortunately lost children, and other types of trafficking. And he is or she is in charge, in contact with security operators in the entire station. So the solution brought to us by the Pre-Event Pcp must be effective in order to help the person, meaning in terms of ergonomics, user experience, and also should be simple enough in terms of interface so that the person doesn't lose time with the alerts. And when the alert is given, he or she is able to know how to use the system properly. So if the system gives an alert, here are the questions that need to be answered by the operator. So firstly, what is the scene? What items have been left? How have they been left? Who and where is the owner? And then possibly help decide which action should be taken. Concretely, we will have to classify the alert as real or false positive. If the alert is real, Mr. or Mrs. X needs some basic information, as we have just seen, before contacting his colleagues in order to react as a consequence. If the alert isn't real, he just needs to report the alert so that a further analysis can determine why what has gone wrong exactly. So what's the purpose of this storytelling is because the solution cannot be of any use or efficiency if it isn't adopted and effectively used by security teams. The success of Pre-Event Pcp also relies on how the ergonomic is developed through the solution and how it will be perceived by the security operators. In addition to those technical challenges aforementioned, there's also the human factor, which should not be underestimated by the suppliers. Having said this, the way solution proposals and experiment can be analyzed appears more clearly. We know where we are coming from as public buyers. The current situation is quite unsatisfactory, but we also know that the solution provided through the Pre-Event Pcp will never be 100% effective, unfortunately. The challenge here is to improve the current situation as much as possible The solution we expect shall detect unattended items in an, I would say, appropriate amount of time. The amount of time is still to be defined in order to give alerts only when needed. The level of detection is also key. We, as public buyers, are obviously conscious that false alarms will happen, especially at the beginning, which is very normal. But in the end, the level of false alerts among all the alarms can be considered. Those previous elements will be appreciated either by the Pre-Event Pcp group, but also by security operators. Their perception will be essential, as we have seen on the previous slide. So in terms of how to address this PCP challenge, as we saw, a PCP is an open procedure where the public buyer group focuses on expressing its needs. The Pre-Event Pcp group will provide financial resource to address that need, but on the other hand, the candidates may address it in various ways. This is exactly what is expected with a PCP. That is, we expect a variety of propositions. As the solution that you choose as providers is fully up to you. Such variety is a way of exploring several approaches within the same procedure, fostering innovation hence. Therefore, each project may include some special features. What is to be understood is that a PCP is still a tender procedure. Thus, equal treatment of respondents is key. The main consequence is that only the criteria expressed in the tender documents can be used to evaluate the solution. The tender documentation may also include some limits, as we will see together. Sorry. So, as I just mentioned, the Pre-Event Pcp has some limit. We may consider them in 4 distinct categories. The first one is the legal limits, the second one, the technical requirements, the financial, and some time constraints and ethics, finally. From a legal perspective, firstly, a PCP is a public tender. Once the procedure is published, public tender regulations have to be strictly applied and respected in order to ensure equal treatment for all. Secondly, solutions developed under the Pre-Event Pcp shall respect GDPR, considering that the experimentations will take place in France, Spain, Portugal, and Greece. So 4 different countries. In addition to the GDPR, considerations concerning the right to privacy may imply that data exploitation have to be performed in situ. Those limits can be different depending on where the experimentation will take place. On the technical aspects, firstly, please note that each pilot site may be equipped with different technologies, sometimes even within the same infrastructure or network. Secondly, another technical aspect, solutions have to guarantee interoperability, as mentioned before, with every system. A technical presentation will precede mine. Note that testing the solutions with different cameras is also a way to avoid bias of solutions mainly effective within a particular system. I'm sorry, was that a question or no? So the third aspect is the financial and time restrictions. Please note that a total amount of 9.3 million euros will be made available throughout the project. This amount is to be shared by several technology providers during the 3 phases. That is solution design, prototype testing, and pilot phase. In terms of ethical limits, the GDPR has already been mentioned. And also, as mentioned before, the solution has to be accepted by citizens, mainly by acting proportionally regarding the objectives. There we are. So Finally, and last but not least, regarding the bidders, the Prevent PCP group doesn't have any expectations in particular. So that means bidders may apply individually or through a consortium. The option is open. When bidders apply within a consortium, the legal form may not be a selection criteria, but the roles, relations, investments, etc. of each partner shall be clearly defined, just like in any other collaborative work. As mentioned before, a PCP is a public tender procedure. Bidders will apply to the Prevent PCP following usual formalities for a tender procedure. Special requirements may be presented in the tender documentation. Those aren't defined yet. Contributions on this issue will be made during the open market consultation. That is why we encourage you to participate to the OMC. And through the online questionnaire, which will also be presented later. So I think I've been through all the points necessary. Thank you for your attention, and I'll leave the floor to Youssef and Annabelle, I guess.
Thank you, Amira. I would open the question, open the floor for the questions if anyone may have. And also I see that there is a hand raised by Celine from SNCF.
Yes, hi everyone. I just want to add a comment on Amira's presentation. For the pilots, actually the pilots will take place in France, Spain, Portugal, and Italy instead of Greece. It's just to mention this precision.
Yeah, thank you. This is a recent change that we are still also reflecting on all the project documentations. But yes, I confirm that there has been a change, and the last pilot will take place in Italy rather than Greece. Okay. Do you have any questions? Maybe in the meanwhile, if you can ask them or write them on the chat. I would like just to share with you that I have been told that the matchmaking between different companies beyond what I have said, the form is already online. If you can go to the website, so this is an answer to a previous question. So you can go, I hope that you see my screen. You can go to the PCP tab, and at the end of the web page, there is, I hope that I am in the right place. Yes, this is matchmaking form for the companies, and you can insert all the information, fill the fields, and all this information about companies asking for a matchmaking will be published so that you can contact each other. So our, let's say, what we can do as we can collect this information, facilitate it, and publish it so that you can contact each other and evaluate if there are some opportunities for you to make a consortium.
If I may, Youssef, there were some questions about the OMC questionnaire on the chat. So I just wanted to give the two precisions. The questionnaire will be presented later during this webinar, but also after this webinar, you will all receive an email with the link directing directly to the questionnaire, so you will get the information.
Okay, thank you, Guillaume. Yeah, so yeah, so from our side, we will provide you with all the information. Either you can get it now from the chat, but also it will be shared after each webinar to the participants. Okay, I don't see any other questions, so it seems that we will move to the next slot, which is dedicated to the user observatory group. And I leave the floor to Carmela. Okay, she has already shared the presentation, so you can start.
Thank you very much, Youssef. And hello, everybody. My name is Carmela Canonico, and I work for UITP. I will give you an overview of the User Observatory group. I know we are running a bit behind schedule, so I will try to be as concise as possible, but I will be happy to answer your questions either afterwards or after this webinar offline. So what is the User Observatory group? It is not part of the project consortium itself, but provides support to it. It includes experts in the field of public transport and security. The UOG members can be public transport operators, security forces, or law enforcement authorities. They are practitioners that have a high level of know-how in public transport operation and in security. The User Observatory group members will be an additional network to share and exchange information on security issues within PT networks and infrastructures, technological developments, and their application in an operational environment. So it's basically a consultative body for the project consortium. Currently, we have 12 members in the User Observatory group, none of which have already signed a cooperation contract with the Pre-Event Pcp contract. But the group will still evolve as we are enforcing it with additional PTOs and authorities. If you are interested in participating, please get in contact with me. My contacts will be shared together with this presentation after the webinar. And I will share with you all the information and the contract and what is expected from you. So what is the main objective of the User Observatory group? Is to foster and moderate discussion between the Pre-Event Pcp and the practitioner beyond the consortium. The UOG's role will be to strongly engage with practitioners and public buyers from the project consortium then. So it will follow the project activities, participate in surveys that we will circulate over time, assess objectively the results, concept and solutions of the project, discuss the proposal and recommendation of the consortium for the best possible outcomes, and provide a wider representative of stakeholders, and of course, help to disseminate the project and information about the outcomes of the project. So the User Observatory group has an essential role in the project, and its purpose is to provide a forum to engage a wider community of practitioners into the project and to ensure the project output respond as much as possible to the end user's needs. But what are the interests for the User Observatory group members? What's in it for you? So the chance to join a pan-European network of public transport practitioners and security services in order to exchange knowledge on public transport security. The possibility to follow closely the pre-commercial procurement process that was already described by my colleagues before, and get valuable inputs when it comes to procuring R&D services, including the regulatory and formal context, for example, tender documents, presentation, evaluation of tenders, etc. And also the possibility to learn and follow up closely on technology innovation and R&D when it comes to public security innovation and prototypes. There are, as mentioned, 4 prototype tests envisioned in the project, which means that practitioners will get to check how their remarks and inputs affects the final version and the abilities of the prototypes. So, but how does this group work? So I will provide a quick overview on the organization of meetings. So we aim to have 6 physical meetings throughout the life of the project, 2 per year, depending on needs, and of course also depending on the COVID rules at the time. And we will also have regular online meetings. The online meetings will depend on partner needs and also the results from the project that we want to present. So the next meetings will be in Marseille, 19th and 20th of January. It's a hybrid meeting, and we will This information is shared over the website, but you can also contact me or the coordinators, and we will be happy to share more information. And the next one, the one after January, will be in March in Karlsruhe during the IT Trans conference. We will have the third meeting for the User Observatory group, and we will also be present at the conference exhibition. Every member of the observatory group gets 600 euros for travel reimbursement to join the physical meetings. And of course, before being able to receive the reimbursement, you will have to sign a contract. It's a very easy contract that states what we expect from you, and also that binds you to a non-disclosure agreement when applicable. We cooperate via Teams. So this is being set up so that the exchange of information are facilitated. So this is all from my side. Okay. And please feel free to get in contact, and I give the word back to Youssef. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Carmela. So yeah, so just to give a brief, maybe add something to what Carmela said, is the fact that the project is, and also we have started this activity in our last project. So what we have tried to do is that sometimes it was not possible to have all the operators within us as full members of the consortium. So we opened the opportunity also to that external stakeholders, they join this group, and they participate to project meetings. So they are informed, they are engaged since the beginning to all the project activities, sometimes also the decisions, because just to share with you that in the last project, when we were voting for the security challenges and the document challenge, we have given them also equal vote like project members, so that in order to vote which ones we wanted to go for the PCP. And it would be also the same thing also within this project, since we will be the fine-tuning and finalizing the requirements that will be put on the tender. The operators also, part of the UEG, are also invited to participate in the project meetings and produce their requirements so that we could insert them in the tender requirement. This is important in order to have at the end prototype solutions that are not only answering to the needs of our 10 operators, but also to a large base of operators in Europe. So it is important that I know that some of the participants, they are transport operators. We will be having them also in other webinars and in other meetings. So if you want, you're interested to join our UEG, you can do it. You can contact Carmela or me, or just through the website, and we will give you all the information. Of course, if you have any questions, we're here to answer to you. In the chat up to now, I didn't see anything. I don't know if you have any questions. Just wait a couple of minutes. Okay, I guess that we're on time. And otherwise, we can move to the next slide, which is the main challenges and concrete examples. Help me with the presenter. I guess that, yeah, sorry, it's Celine from SNCF. So
yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you. The floor
and you
is
can see
yours.
the screen, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I'm Céline from representing SNCF from France, and I will present you the use case and main challenge for this solution, actually, for the future solution. First, in order to understand the project interest for the users, we first need to understand the timeline to handle the unattended items and the pain points. So if you're not familiar with train station, metro management, and all these unintended items in the stations, we created a timeline to explain this. How is the procedure in almost all countries in Europe, and the pain points. So first, when an item is abandoned, the time is unknown actually, because we don't know for how long the item has been abandoned in the station. And in the second step, the countdown only starts at step 2, when the unattended item is reported by travelers or the operational teams in the stations. And between the step 1 and 2, anything can happen, especially if this is a dangerous item and a terrorist threat. After the report of the item, there are several actions that are triggers, such as the security perimeter, the item characterization, the audio announcement to find the owner, all the CCTV replay, and also the communication with the LEA teams, LEA meaning the police forces. So this action plan can last few minutes. And depending on the countries and depending on the PTO, the public transport operator, further action can be trigger, such as the expansion of security zone, the traffic stop, the passing trains without stopping, the train speed limit, and in some case, the emergency evacuation of the station, which also represents a massive target for terrorist attack. And we also have to be reminded that all this action plan and further action cause economical impacts, because it can last hours in the station, meaning that no traffic. Then we have the handling of the unattended items. So depending on the countries, some PTO or LEA are using dog teams to deny or confirm the dangerousness of the item. And if it's confirmed, then there's also the intervention of the demeanors. And as you may know, actually, the teams are not in every station. So depending on their availabilities in the different location, it can also last hours. And then at the end, we have the alert closure. So the item can be harmless. It will end up in the lost and found office. And in worst scenario, meaning that we have a real threat, the item can be distracted or worse. So now that you understand the events timeline, the need of a solution is clearer. We need automatic detection of unattended item and the tracking of the owner in the first steps, because it would avoid all the additional actions causing economic impacts, as the owner must be still in the station and we can find him. So this solution will also improve the operational efficiency, the travelers' satisfaction, and the safety in the stations, and also on board in the trains or in the metros and the bus as well. So, so as shared in the previous slide on the events timeline, the current organization requires many actors when an unintended item is reported and cause a lot of impacts. The CCTV system and video center currently in place are mainly used for video replay to understand what happened in the past, but not in a proactive mode to detect the abnormal situation. What would be ideal, I repeat, but is to have an automatic detection of the unattended item through the video analytics, and then the automatic tracking of the owner. After that, as Amira presented in the main goals, we have the system alert, and which will go to the security center or video control center, depending on the countries. And then there will be some quick actions actually to find the owner and avoid all the action that we explained before. I have actually concrete examples of situation to detect. So first of all, the main actually situation is to detect an unattended item. We have a video here for the situation. As you can see, someone is coming, carrying a heavy bag, and then left here without any, without talking to the person seated next in the chair. So for this situation, the solution should automatically detect an unattended item which could be potentially dangerous. And in this case, the algorithm should learn which item should be detected or not based on our specification. For example, in some countries, a smartphone or a small or mini bag will not be considered as dangerous, and the alerts has to be focused on the type of item that we need to detect. And for that, with the consortium and the partners, we defined the list of items we need to detect, but the system should also be able to learn other items to detect in the future. Second situation, I will run the video. So in this case, as you can see, the person came with the suitcase and leave it to talk with the woman there and leave the suitcase with her. So the solution should automatically track the owner of the unattended item and also detect the transfer of ownership based on the behavior and situation. For example, a luggage is left by a woman to her husband or person leaving her backpack to her group of friends. We should be able to detect that it's not an unattended item because they were talking, they were having an interaction, compared to a situation where someone is leaving a bag and doesn't talk to the person next to the bag. Next example, I will play the video. So for this example, the detection, the system should automatically detect suspicious behavior when abandoning an item. For example, someone leaving an item on purpose, running after abandoning the item, or having a suspicious behavior. And next example, as you can see that we mention a lot the unattended items in the stations, but we also have a lot of unattended items on board in the metros or in the trains, and the solution should be able to also use the embedded cameras to detect this kind of unattended item. For example, at the end of the journey when the train is going to the train depot, for example. And so this list of situation, we mentioned 4 examples, but the list of situation is not limited to these examples, but they will be available in the tender document. We have a slide on the main challenge for this future solution to build. So first on the functional challenge, we have the unattended item definition. As I said that we have a lot of items that can be abandoned in the station or in trains. We have suitcases, we have phones, we have umbrellas, we have any type of item that you can think of. But we need to focus actually on the most dangerous item and most typical items that we can find in station and on board. So for that, the consortium and partners replied to a questionnaire where we had to define which item we should detect. So it will be also available in the tender. Then on the main challenge, we also have the detection of suspicious behavior that can be difficult to define and to detect. We have the link between item and owner and owners and the transfer of ownership, because we know that if you can enter the station with a suitcase but leave it to your friends or your family there, we shouldn't receive this kind of alerts if the people belongs to the same group of or couples. Then we have the identification and tracking of the owners in one or multiple cameras. And also at the end, for the functional part, is the public transport environment. So train, metro, bus stations. Actually, the public transport environment is challenging because it can be crowded to detect the unattended item and to detect the owners as people are constantly moving. On technical aspects, there's a big challenge on the CCTV infrastructure, which was different based on the PTO, the public transport operator, and the country, such as the video streams quality, the field of use, the type of camera we're using, the coverage, etc. The solution must at least use non-biometric data to track the owner. There are also multiple systems involved, local, centralized, and also have to think about the interconnection. Then this technology, as we said before, must be integrated and interoperated in the standard crisis management system and the VMS, the video management system. For the data, the main challenge for the learning phase of the future solution may be the CCTV data sets that may not be available in certain countries or depending on the partner. The solution should also consider the data transfer across multiple actors. We can take the example of item abandoned in the train station, and then the owner is found on the metro station. You can see that in some cities, sometimes a station is shared between multiple operators, depending if it's a train, metro, bus, etc. Finally, on legal aspects, the solution should respect the different countries' legal environment, and the PIA, privacy impact assessment, must be written before any operational pilots. So the pilots are in France, Italy, Spain, and Portugal. So that's the end for me. If you have any questions, do not hesitate. Youssef, back to you.
Okay. Thank you, Celine. We hope that you have got a first idea, more information about our main requirements and what we would like to develop. So this is exactly the main challenge, which are the different situations, and this is only some examples, but we expect solutions, prototypes that help us deal with these situations, identified automatic identification, the detection tracking of the perpetrator, and also, of course, this also applied to the domain of public transport, which is, as Celine said, it is challenging because you know, the environment is sometimes we have a lot of rush hours where there are a lot of people. We have different locations. Each one is different from another one. We have different types of cameras. We have the environmental conditions may change from low light, high light, night, day, indoor, outdoor. So the different, let's say, scenarios are changing, but would like to have, of course, this kind of solutions. I don't know if you have any questions from your side. We can provide you with, of course, more details now. Other information will be published. The final requirements will be in the tender document. But yeah, the floor is yours for the questions.
Youssef, there's a question in the chat. Is the list of objects to be detected already published available? So as I said, the list of objects and those scenarios will be available in the tender.
Okay. Any other question? Okay. Okay, thank you. If you don't have any questions, I would move to the last point of the agenda, which is the presentation of the RFI questionnaire by Guillaume.
Yes, so let me just share my screen. And do you see it?
Yes.
Yes, okay, thank you. So, well, good morning, everyone. So we already mentioned several times the request for information questionnaire. It's a part of the open market consultation, and it's the main way for us to receive feedback from the market about the main challenges of the project. And I guess that you have seen that there are plenty of challenges to be taken with our project, and many different issues to pay attention for. But mainly the interest of this questionnaire for us is that we haven't set already all the technical specification. We haven't already decided how exactly we are going to support the companies which will be selected during our PCP. So the information that we gather thanks to this questionnaire is really a way for us to decide how the project is going to evolve. So the answers that you may give actually really do matter a lot, and that's why we are really hoping that you will be considering to fill this questionnaire. So the main points about the RFI questionnaire. Well, as we have seen and Present PCP group is mainly composed by end users. So we also need feedback from the industry, meaning solution developers. And those feedback they will have a direct impact on the tender procedure, and as the information gathered will help us to fine tune the specification. So to answer the questionnaire, together with the information provided during this webinar and the OMC document, which is available on our website. Answer the questionnaire is not a mandatory action to apply to the upcoming tender, and it doesn't give you indeed it does not give you any form of bonus in the selection process. But still, sharing your point of view on the main aspects of the project, it would allow us to take it into account. So it means that it cannot disadvantage you in any way either. So and also, if you want to share more information, but in a more private way with the Pre-Event Pcp group, we would expect you to first fill the questionnaire, and then you'll be able to book a bilateral meeting if required. So just to show you the question, the first part is really resembling to the registration form that you have filled for this webinar. So the information that we were asking are general information on your organization and your main activities. The second part is about ethic and privacy issues, which is a clear concern for our project and the acceptability that for the general population. Also, we mentioned the state-of-the-art analysis that we have been performed. It is summed up, as mentioned earlier, in the OMC document. But the questionnaire third part it concerns your opinion on the analysis that we have been through, and also the opinion you have on the technical challenges that we have been targeting. The fourth part is it regards the feasibility of the project and your opinion on it. And when it comes to basically the methodology that we have selected, the financial support that we can provide throughout the process, basically we're really open to discussion on those issues and the opinion you may have on the methodology that we have chosen. On the fifth part, the questionnaire is about the condition required for a successful project. So mainly, what should the solution feature as technological element? Do you have special concern on the project's feasibility, on the intellectual property right issues, and so on the evaluation process as well? So that's basically also a point that we are open to discuss about. On the sixth part, we want to get your opinion on cooperation, because we clearly see that the challenges of Pre-Event Pcp imply probably a cooperation of company, meaning either consortiums of several companies or probably one company integrated solution developed by other companies. So that issue of cooperation between candidates, it has to be taken into consideration before the tender documentation is completely written and published. On the seventh part, we want to get your opinion on venture capital regarding our project. So basically, when it comes to R&D solution, accessing venture capital can provide much help. And we are then willing to get your opinion on this in the particular context of Pre-Event Pcp. And finally, the question I ask you is if you will participate to the IMC event, which will take place both in Marseille but also online on next week on January 19th and 20th. And which is a way for you to actually network, and especially if you want to meet other companies with which you will be able to cooperate. So that's really joining the event is really something that we would encourage you to do. And so we will send you the link to this questionnaire. You can already flash the QR code that is on my presentation if you want to access to it directly. And that would be all for me with it. So thank you for your attention. And if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer those.
Okay, thank you, Guillaume. I hope it's clear for everybody, and yeah, it seems that we're also ahead of time. So do you have any questions also on this? I hope that, of course, you all have the time to provide us with your answers to the questionnaire. I have one question also for Guillaume from my side. The questionnaire, is it to be filled one by organization, or for example, if we have 2 or 3 people from the same organization can provide different answers?
No, actually, we are really open. So if several people from within the same organization want to fill it they can do it, because that would be a way for us to have more opinions, and obviously people working from the IT section and those who from the sales wouldn't have the same concerns. So that can only be an opportunity for us to have more answers to the questionnaire.
Okay, thank you, Guillaume. Okay, any another question? Okay, I see something on the chat. Okay, 3rd February, February 3rd is the deadline for submission of okay, February. Yeah, this is for yeah, Guillaume. Do you confirm that February 3rd is the last deadline?
Yes, it is. I forgot to mention it during my presentation, but yes, you have basically 1 month to submit your answers.
Yeah. So yeah, of course, the date that we have decided on February 3rd, it's more relevant for participants to the last webinars that will take place on the last week of January. So for that webinars, they will have a few days to fill them. Maybe for you, this first one, you have enough time to fill it. Of course, if you plan to participate to the physical meeting in Marseille, yeah, it would be also interesting that you can wait until the next week so that you get other information and then you fill all the questionnaires. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, so yeah, so maybe since we have covered all the topics and we have some times left, I don't know if would like to, for the participants, of course, those that they don't have any issue with the recordings, if they can just give us a few seconds presentation of them, their organization, what they are doing, and of course, if they plan to participate to the meeting, it would be interesting. So yeah, I don't want to to call you. If you can propose yourself, it would be okay. Of course, I'm talking about external members.
Yeah, Yusuf, I would like to take the opportunity and introduce Synectics, which is a global company that focuses on security and surveillance systems, basically relating to the advanced crisis management system. That would be the key reason why we are interested to participate in the PREVENT project. Integrate and make sure that the interoperability will be regarded when it comes to an integrated solution with all the detectors in the field, the subsystems in the field, and making sure that the operators can act fast and distribute information between all the stakeholders. So it is a command and control system platform that we would like to use to make sure this project delivers the results it's supposed to deliver. And that's why I will come to Marseille, and I would be happy to meet some people to find a consortium.
Okay, great. Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, Joseph. My name is Xavier Arrufat. We are at the other end of the spectrum from Synectics. So we are on the analytics, the video analytics, and in our case, applying artificial intelligence already for security applications in public transport. So again, I'm planning to go to Marsella either online, most likely, or if we can combine it, probably presentially as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Michael Dose speaking here from IDEMIA. So we are working in the field, also besides other departments, in the field of public security. And one pillar what we are developing in this area is a video analytics platform that we currently provide mainly to law enforcement agencies. It includes a bunch of different detection capabilities, recognition capabilities regarding persons, vehicles, and so on, luggage detection. And the solution can be applied in live screening as well as post-event analytics scenarios. So I myself will not participate in Marseille, but a colleague from mine most probably will attend there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Okay, so okay, yeah, for up to now, I guess that we have covered all the topics, and we will have the chance, of course, to get in contact in the future events. Of course, if you may have any other questions, you can contact us, and we will provide the answer. The idea is that we collect all the questions that we receive, also these ones, and provide at the end of these cycles of webinars a session where we provide all the answers to these common questions that we receive, so that it is also the public or in future companies may access to them. Also, the information, the materials will be published on our website. This webinar also will be published, just the time to process it and then to make it online. And of course, you will receive an email with all the information that you need, the email, the links to the different materials, and also the questionnaire. And of course, it is important for us that you fill the questionnaire with the information. And as Guillaume said, it doesn't matter if you have different colleagues that may provide this information. For us, it's important, since the idea is that we would like to refine our requirement standard, and based on also the information that we will provide, you will provide us. Okay. I don't know. Any last chance to give some questions, or if any of my colleagues from the project would like to add something before we close this webinar. Okay, so I think that we are fine now. Thank you very much for participation to this event. I think that it was very interesting. We provided information. We had also good interactions. Some of the questions that are very interesting, and which I think that will help us also change some of our content. And that's it. Thank you very much, and see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Youssef. Have a nice day. Thank you,
Goodbye.
everybody.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.